Hello, 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 I am Jim Bob and welcome to a live build of a brand new city. I've kind of dabbled with trying to build something with everything unlocked before. I kind of started somewhere just before Christmas, and I didn't really want to do it as a regular series at the time because I didn't have much time to kind of dedicate to it. So I just built the bits in the background and kind of just shown off every now and again what I've been up to. And I haven't gone back to that city for ages. I even tried to recreate it a little bit on my newer profile. And in the end, I decided, let's just do a live stream build. You know, I think it might be a bit more interesting. So we are here on the Seven Lakes map as part of the Mass Transit DLC map pack. So you can see from the starting tile that you get there, you've got a freeway that comes in from that direction, just kind of stops there. There's no big junctions to contend with. There's no immediate rail connection. There is a railway line just off there. You can just kind of see it through the trees. That kind of line, the sort of centre of the screen going up there. There is a railway line just over there. And obviously there is a lot of lakes. So what I've done is I've kind of gone ahead and I've pre-terraformed a little bit. So if I load this up, you can see there everything's unlocked. So all the milestones have been unlocked. No money worries. Unlimited oil, unlimited soil for terraforming. And what we're left with from our starting point of one tile with lots and lots of maps is this. This is where we're up to now. So you can see I've kind of flattened out and filled in all these points. The water is still kind of draining away because I've only just finished terraforming. So it's still draining in a couple of spots, specifically over here. But we do now have a rail access point over here, as well as our sort of road access over here. And then over here, we haven't really touched this bit. This is our sort of river connection, so we can get ships coming in to this area over here for freight. And we can build up a nice cargo dock so we can reshape and rework this area a little bit, because our connection for water, if we take a look at the ship tab, there you can see there is our shipping line coming in, which then kind of turns around at this point. So as long as we don't do anything to kind of damage this entrance here, then we're absolutely fine, and then we can just build a freight section and a harbour section somewhere over here, and then we can put some canals in maybe for moving people through the city in places. I've kept this little lake here so that we've got a nice little sort of touristy area we could perhaps look at building over here on the edge of the lake. Obviously the rest of it's kind of inside or outside of our buildable zone, but it gives us something to work with. And then again over here we've got, I've done squashed up a little bit of this. I might still get rid of the rest of this up towards the border, just reshape that edge a little bit. But essentially we've got a completely flat map to kind of work with. So we've got a little bit of elevation change, nothing too drastic, but we've got a load of space here that we can build in. It's really foggy on this map, isn't it? Let's see if we can maybe get rid of that. Let's see, do we have dynamic weather? No, we don't. So cloud cover, we can't really do anything about that. Where is the sun? Can we see, is the sun on its way up? Kind of midday, isn't it? The dynamic time of day is off, so we need to figure out where we're going to start and what we're going to build. Let's just turn the radio off for a second. We'll turn that back on again in a bit. But for now, I think I kind of want to start building our Docklands area over here first of all. So this is our sort of water access point over here. I think this would be the best place for us to kind of get started. So let's just have a quick look at the chat. We've got Logo, Melissa, Irish Farmer, Pecky, Andrew, all in the chat. How you doing, guys? Good to see you. This is a bit of an experiment doing this live stream here with cities. I've not live streamed this game before, so I don't know how well this is going to go. I will try and keep hold of your questions and answer and respond to those as and where I can. So if you do have them, do send them in. I will read them. It might take me a little while to get to a couple of them, but I will try and answer all your questions for you. Let's first of all, let's just try and smooth this area out a little bit. We've got a bit of an elevation change here from the land over here, which I've been kind of trying to keep at the same level as the shorelines, so it's all ended up reasonably flat, but it does step down quite a bit just here as a result of that. That's not too much of an issue. We can smooth that out a bit. We want this to be our sort of average height here, so let's just increase the size and strength of our tool a bit. Of course, we are using unlimited soil, so we can just terraform as much as we want to without any major issues, which is always a good thing, I think. Let's try and square an edge off along here. Just going to drag that along. We're going to get the water spilling out again. That's fine. We can let that drain away. We've got David Cornish Simmer in the chat as well. Good to see you guys. Irish Farmer asks, have I tried Surviving Mars? I have. It's a game that I did try live streaming last year, and there wasn't much interest in it, at least with my audience. I'm sure it's a popular enough game, and it does do quite well in live streaming. It's just when I tried streaming it, nobody wanted to watch me play it, so I haven't played a lot of it. I have got it, though, and I do fire it up every now and again. So at some point, I've been toying with the idea of going back and having another crack at getting Surviving Mars up and running on the channel, but we'll see. Freya and Effects have popped in, and Nicole as well. Good to see you all. So we've got a nice kind of clean edge, I think, just here for us to start building our docks. Looks like we have disrupted the water flow a little bit. It's just kind of levelling out again. So let's start. Slow time down a little bit. Let's start by putting in some barriers along here. Try and create our quay side over here. And what I want to do is I want to have kind of a nice organised quay where I can. So we're going to be constantly kind of juggling between having... In fact, actually, I might drop the height of this down a little bit so we don't have too high a shoreline. But I want to try and have a nice, organised kind of squared off area for our quayside. I just find it's a little bit neater and a little bit easier to work with if you've got nice, straight, clean edges to work with. So easiest way to do that is to just, try and square something up and then just very slowly and carefully do your terraforming. So you can see what I tried to do there is line up the bottom of the quay against the top of my sort of pop-up box there to give me that kind of straight line, and then just drag up in a 90-degree angle. Hopefully that'll allow us to build ourselves a wall along here quite easily, which we can get at a 90-degree angle. It doesn't want to play ball at the moment. That's okay. We can work with that. It's not quite 100. There we go. It's a little bit lower. Out. Just have a slight sort of raised dip area there, perhaps. Actually, no. Let's take this wall off. Let's actually reduce the height of this edge as well. So let's go back to our terraforming. Oops. There we go. And again, we'll try and straighten up. and just drag that up. And that's looking pretty decent. We should hopefully be able to get a nice clean 90-degree angle on our quay wall here. Hopefully. So let's give that a try. Doesn't quite want to go there, does it? So we go like that. Just curve that off a little bit. And there we go. We've got a nice sort of clean quay wall here for us to work with. It's not too high, so we shouldn't have too much problem putting in harbours and stuff along that wall there. Nicole says, did I get the message about Wreckfest? Yes, I did. It's a shame it's been delayed so long, but if it needs that much time to get it working, then it needs that much time. I'd rather, if a game's going to come out, that it comes out working rather than broken beyond use. Just smooth that corner off a little bit. Still not quite right. There we go, it's a little bit better. A little bit more accurate. So now that I've got my main kind of harbour, I want to stretch the terrain around this side a bit. Again, we're going to have that problem with water spilling. And push that out that way. Fill in that gap. Let's just speed time up again to get the water to drain a little bit quicker. How you doing, Michael? Good to see you. The Dave Raves popped in as well. And Sam Crow, JKD Gamer as well. Am I still keeping the Green Cities series alive along with this live stream series? Yes, absolutely. We're still going to do the Green Cities playthrough because that's going to be focused specifically on trying out the Green Cities content. This is just going to be building something to see what we can build, and we'll be doing the whole thing live, so you'll get a chance to see the city just from its roots all the way up to wherever it finishes up. Hopefully we can do a pretty nice job with it. Can I get a 135-degree angle? Yes, there we go. Right, so we've got a nice kind of area here for our harbour, for our freight area. We can have a rail hub over here, which we can then link off to our rail connection over there quite comfortably and easily. We can also have maybe our main cargo docks along this side here, and maybe even have passenger services along this side. We'll need to do a little bit more work over here, but let's start putting in the basic bones of what we want in this area. So I want to have this cargo hub. I kind of want that right up against the edge there, if I can. See the terrain just causing that to step up and down a little bit. Let's try that. A little bit of elevation on there, that's to be expected, but it means that we don't have a really long gap for our tracks to cross over, which is better, I think. In terms of regular cargo docks, I want if I can, two in here. Might be a problem, actually, with that we've potentially kind of got our turning circle behind us. I'm hoping it won't be an issue. We may possibly have to pull this back again. We won't know until we're a bit further in. Although I am a little paranoid on that now. I think I might have to pull this back in a bit. Let's play it safe. So we've got our basic shape. We just need to play it a little bit safer. So we need to pull this in. So how far back do I need to come? Okay, we've kind of got this step here in the terrain, so that's probably where we're going to step to. Let's set the height of the water, or the ground beneath the water, as our point there. Let's again try and square up a bit if we can. We can keep this wall here and then just drag it back a bit further. We can then maybe change the plans a little bit as to where things are going to sit. So we take this back here, so we've got a nice little bit of leeway with our turning area. It's going to get a little bit trickier to see as the water starts rushing in. Let's try and pause for a second, so I can actually work this edge of the coast here without that water disturbing everything. Gradually drag that up screen. Any thoughts on Paradox having open modding Xbox for Surviving Mars, meant to bring it to City Skylines later in the year? Honestly, no idea. I imagine it's possible. You would really need to speak to Paradox about that. I mean, even though Microsoft have kind of given access to open modding, it doesn't mean it's going to happen right away. It's still going to be a way off. There's still going to be a lot of work that needs to be done for City Skylines to get mods, open access mods available. So it's not. Don't expect this to be something that's going to happen quickly. I was actually chatting with the Paradox community manager about this the other day, and just wondering if there was any chance that we might possibly get similar kind of access on PlayStation. And obviously Sony haven't said anything. Sony are notoriously strict when it comes to mods. So just because it's going to happen on Xbox doesn't mean it's going to happen on PlayStation, and just because it's happening on Xbox doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon. There's still a lot of stuff that needs to be put in place before that can actually go live. So I would imagine that they'll focus purely on City Skylines, make sure that works and they get that up and running, and then once they've done that, who knows, maybe they'll apply that to Surviving Mars as well. But you'd have to ask them if that's going to be in their plans for the future. Alright, there we go. We've got our nice, cleaner kind of edge there. It's not going to let me, I don't think, put the wall in yet, because technically we don't have a shoreline, because we don't have any water here. Yeah, it looks like shoreline required. So we need to let the water kind of come rushing in. But if we go back to our transport, you can see we've now got our turning area here at the beginning. So we've got room to kind of put our docks in and not have any issue with potentially blocking our transport route in. So we'll let the water fill up. We might get a little bit of a flood as it slops over the top. We'll see. Let's check the chat questions while we're waiting. Harry says, what game am I playing? I'm playing City Skylines. We're on the Seven Lakes map, which was included with the mass transit update. So it's not one of the original base game maps. But I can't remember if the maps were made part of the DLC or if they were part of the free update for the DLC. So you might have the map even if you don't have the DLC. You'll have to check that one. Pro Gamer 2018 has popped in. Asnabas, haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Nicole said she's picked up Subnautica thanks to watching my videos. I'm glad it helped shape your decision. It is an amazingly fun game. You really enjoy Subnautica. And no, I can't wait for the Below Zero expansion when that comes out later as well. Hopefully it'll come out this year for consoles. Who knows? I'm saying that this year because it took pretty much a year to get it from to get it from PC onto console in full access. So there's no guarantee that we will definitely get it this year. I'd hope so, and I'm sure that the devs are going to try their best to get it to us as quick as they can. I don't even know if it's been full release on PC yet, or if it's still in early access. Jake and Mr. Pudding have joined the chat. How are you guys doing? Right, let's resculpt this slightly, or I'll change our plans slightly. We were going to have a rail terminal sort of right here on the corner. I might actually bring that a bit further up. Let's see. That's the ferry depots. There's the rail terminal. So, I kind of like the idea of this being right up in the corner. So let's check the height of this as it's being placed. You can see it's bumping up and down a little bit there. There's the ground terrain underneath. I'll try and keep it as low as I can. That's one thing I really wish we had the ability to do, would be to randomly just edit the height of things. You can see it's the water movement, I think, that's actually causing that issue. If I pause, all of a sudden I've got more control over the height and direction of where this actually goes in. It's the flow of the current, so I wish we could actually have the option to just raise and sink things a little bit. That would be nice, but we can push that right up against the edge like that. So we've got no gap at all. Does raise the terrain around here ever so slightly, but we can get away with that. Let's get rid of these trees as well. They're they're frustrating me a little bit. So let's go into delete mode. Let's delete out these trees. Any more for any more? Yep, there we go. I think that's all of them. And we'll clear out some of these trees around here as well. Let me know as well if the background noises are a little bit too loud. I can obviously tweak those in the menu. The noise of me deleting everything is just too noisy. There we go. We've got our rail dock just there. So along here, we're going to need to clear some space for our normal docks. And I want to have two, if I can, an in-dock and an out-dock. So import-export kind of thing. And hopefully the ships will go to one dock first, which will be our import dock, and then if we direct traffic coming in from the opposite side, that will then be our export dock. So ships will drop cargo off on one and depart with cargo on the other. It's kind of a plan. Might work. Farmer Freed says Germany DLC for Railway Empire is out. Time for a new LP. I've already recorded the first two parts. The first one goes live tomorrow. Mr. Pudding says he needs to re-download City Skylines because he's forgotten how much fun this game is. It is a fun game, you know, and you can just kind of let your imagination run wild a little bit when you're creating a city like this, when you've got no limits, no restrictions. You don't have to go through and unlock certain milestones to get stuff. It's fun every now and again to just go in with everything switched off and just see what your imagination can come up with. And we've got new content on the way in the future as well. Obviously, we've just had Green Cities. We've got Park Life coming up after that. And then after that is the one that I'm really waiting for, which is the Industries DLC. Really looking forward to that one. That's going to be a huge improvement to the game, I think. Being able to drop in big industrial sections. And it's going to change how industry works in the game quite significantly, I think. Right, so we want normal docks. Again, I want to pause so I can try and get the heights about right. You just see there how it's bouncing up and down because of the height of the waves, the height of the water. So let's try and get it at... It's skipping a little bit there. It might be the camera angle. I don't think it's going to get much lower than that. I think that's about as low as I'm going to be able to get it. So the question is now, can I get another dock alongside at the same height? I think that might be it. Yeah, that's looking pretty consistent in terms of height. So let's go ahead and link those up with a road. Take a look. That looks pretty smooth. Those look pretty much the same height. I like that. There we go. So we've got our cargo dock for rail. We've got our cargo dock here for regular stuff. If we take a look at the shipping routes, and we can look at transport routes here, I think that should show it. There you can see this coming in. Now I think it should loop around this way. You can see here, so we've got the in, out, or in dock and then back out again directions for our ships on these docks. So I'm hoping that this will become our import dock for regular freight, for road freight. And then if we get traffic coming in from this angle, it should stop at this dock first, which means that all outgoing freight will leave from here. So we'll have one coming in and unloading, and then one sending out from this side. And then what I might well do is just rework this bit over here a little bit, and then have our passenger services just off here to the side. Let's have a try at doing that. So again, I want to find a level terrain point. Oops, zoom out, wrong button. Go with a smaller tool, keep it nice and strong though. Set that as our terrain point. Pause for a second. I'm going to deliberately take this out further than it needs to go, so that I can then cut in to get a smoother, cleaner edge. But I want to have level ground all the way along here for the opposite side of the wall. There we go. So let's square up our line along here, using our key wall as a guideline against the pop-up box there. This is how I make sure I get nice, straight, neat edges on my districts as well, using the same trick. And now I want to set the height of the river like that. Zoom out a little bit and just cut in like this. Create a little sort of passenger area over here. Try and keep it at a nice controlled speed. so that the line is created straight. There we go. Let's let that fill in with water. We need to perhaps do a little bit of repair work there, but that'll be okay. Sancro says there should be a smaller concerts update as well. I honestly can't remember if concerts is included in the new Season Pass 2 that was published when Green Cities came out. Green Cities is going to obviously include... the Season Pass is going to include Green Cities, a radio station update, which we've already got. It also included the Euro Buildings pack. It's going to include Park Life. It's going to include industries, and I think there's one other thing. So it might be concerts is the other thing that's being included. Let's try getting our key wall in. And there we go. We've got a perfect line there for our key. That should all be at the nice uniform height. We've got rocks building out of that at the moment. We can tidy that up a little bit later. But this will be where we'll build our ferry services. I hope I've come in far enough. Let's have a look for our ferry docks. We should be okay here. Again, I want to watch the height. That's about as low as it's going to go, I think. And now we've got a ferry terminal just there, so we can get passengers coming in by ferry. We can even look at maybe adding in a canal coming off here, which can then go off and service through here. We can, put in a ferry terminal somewhere over here as well, which means that we could also at some point put in a ferry. Actually, that is what I've just put in, isn't it? A ferry depot. What was I looking for? It was the harbour I meant to put in here. Put in the wrong building. That's what I meant to put in. A regular harbour. Cannot connect to the route. That's a bit of a frustration. Alright, well we can certainly add it in just here on the corner here. And then maybe we could leave that there as an access point for the canals. So let's just try and get the height down as best we can. Like that. And there we go. We've got our passenger ferry system just there. So we're starting to get a nice little bit of shape over here. Let's tidy up this wall over here. Let's go with a smaller tool. Just push these rocks in a bit. It's not too bad around there, but obviously in these corners we want to get rid of those rocks. We want a nice clean quayside. Of course, this does mean if we delete these quay walls, it is going to dramatically change the shape of these walls, or the shape of this this ground behind it. Instead of having the kind of smoothed off kind of areas that we've got now, we'll end up with some quite jagged side of the ground. There we go. And we've got more trees that we need to get rid of. Look. There we go. Don't think there's any more trees. What are we looking like on the walls over here? That's looking all clean. We know that's okay. A tree. Let's get rid of the tree. And we're looking okay around there. Alright, so there's the start of our harbour area over there. Let's also go ahead and smooth out the terrain over here a little bit better as well. So set our height. I'll try and get the height of the road if I can. There we go. Just to make it a little bit easier. I'm kind of building into those corners again now. We'll tidy those up afterwards. And I want to have a nice little dock area over here. So we're going to start dropping in some grid work for our roads, and start building up a little bit of a warehouse area and manufacturing area over here. So I want that at the same level. Again, we want good rail access as well. Just going to smooth that out a little bit. Shrink the tool down, see if I can maybe... Nope, I can't squeeze that more because of the queue side. Okay, so that's not too bad. Let's take another quick look at the chat. Jeremy's popped in as well. Good to see you, Jeremy. Dave Henderson says he was a big fan of the old SimCity games. This is a great game. The DLCs have been very good, I think, so far. Never got the Disasters one, though. Doesn't like his creations being ruined. It can be fun. I mean, what I like to do sometimes, if I just want to go crazy with the Disasters, is I'll save my game. I'll make sure autosave is turned off, and then I'll just throw everything at the city, see what happens to it, see if I can recover it. And if I can't, I can always just roll back to the point before I turned on the Disasters, or manually activated the Disasters, and no harm, no foul. So... it's a fun experience playing with Disasters. It is something that you kind of try and... I try and limit how often I do it. But it's nice to have them there in the background. And as we're building this, once we get it up and running, to the point where we can actually have people in the city and it's growing and it's active and it's living and breathing, we will turn on Disasters at a low level so that we do have the chance of an odd disaster popping up every now and again. Of course, that does mean that we could end up with completely flooded docks, but we'll see how that goes. Mr. Watt has popped in the chat. How you doing? And Raymond's here as well, and Galuska. Good to see you all. So, let's start planning our road network around here. We've got a nice amount of space over here. I do like the idea of maybe having some sort of maintenance stuff over in the corner. So, I'm going to build our road out like this to start with. Just so I've got little loop areas around for the docks themselves. The main road is going to kind of run along here. Going to put in some road maintenance buildings down here, I think. There we go. So we can get some vehicles out to tidy up and clean up our roads. We'll start switching some of the stuff over to one-way access as well. So we're running left-hand traffic because I'm British and quirky. So I like to have left-hand cars. Or left-hand roads. So we'll have an in-road and an out-road over here. That'll be our in-lane. We can't change the direction of the road that's attached to the docks. That stays bi-directional, but you know, as long as the way in and the way out are marked like that, it doesn't matter. Same over here. We can't control the traffic on here, but we can control how the traffic approaches this road, and we can force it to only go in on this side and then only come out on this side. So again, we get our little bit of one-way control. Like that. And then we can go to regular road and just connect that up. There we go. Bring that along. And we've got our quayside starting to take a little bit of basic shape. I like the idea of having a little bit of industry over here. With all this sort of forest around here as well, it really does enable us to go ahead and zone in some lumber industry around here, which I think would be quite nice to have. Plus, the great thing about the lumber industry is that if you don't have too many trees in the area, it doesn't build a lot of actual tree plantations. So you can get quite some quite nice looking warehouses, which don't really tend to pollute that much, and actually look pretty cool. It'd be nice if we had some really good warehouse buildings that we could kind of choose from. Unfortunately, we don't at the moment, but as I say, I'm waiting for that that DLC later in the year, the Industries DLC. I think we could get some really, really cool industrial areas built and created with that stuff. So let's go ahead and create a little mini district. So I want a much smaller tool than that. There we go. So again, I'm just kind of drawing in a straight line by lining up my tool. I'm going to actually go outside the borders a little bit so we can then kind of tidy up the edges afterwards. Let's go all the way along here like this. Just want to have some warehouses in the middle, in this middle block over here. Now nothing's going to spawn in here yet because we've got no citizens in our city, so there's not even a demand for residential stuff or industrial stuff at the moment. But when it does start coming in, it should start spawning in some warehouses, which would be quite nice. I'm trying to take it off the road a bit as well where I can. A wild animal running around in there. What is that? Is that a pig? I think that's a pig. Push that up a little bit. There we go. And then we'll need to do something similar over here as well. Let's just do that for now. So we've got... oh, I forgot to do the other side of the road. So again, I just need to square back up again. There we go. So we've got a nice little area here ready for forestry, if we mark that there. And we've got no trees inside that zone, so we should hopefully get warehouses pop up as and when we start getting a demand over there. We do need to start thinking about where we're going to create our first little residential area as well. This is going to be kind of touristy, I think, because I haven't interfered with the coastline over here. I quite like that kind of area like that, although, actually, we've kind of got... We could make this touristy. It's a bit close to the railway line. Do I want to have... Actually, it makes... could be quite good. We could have rail access to a tourist area, which then goes off. So we could make this the tourist area, and then this could be our main water area over here. So, as you know, if you've watched some of my more recent city builds, I like to build a sort of a water pumping area. So I think we'll go ahead and we'll do that here. Let's create my terrain height. Make sure we're lined up as square as I can. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Again, we're getting a little bit of leakage of water at the moment, but that's okay. We can tidy that up afterwards. The water should naturally drain away. I'm just going to build a little pumping area on the side over here. So I just need that road to, or that wall to straighten up a bit. There we go. Let's let the water it's going to flood all this flatter lower area over here initially. It'll start to evaporate away, but this is where we're going to create our pumping area on this edge just here. Again, we're going to have some trees that we're going to need to get rid of. Quite a few trees, actually. A lot more trees than I thought. I wonder if we can get a bigger... No, we can't get it. I was wondering if we get a bigger delete tool, but we can't, unfortunately. That would have been nice. Speed this up a little bit. We're quite fiddly on some of these individual trees, just trying to get enough coverage on them to delete them. There we go. Right, water seems to be draining away a little bit over here. Still flooding out over there. That'll dissipate. A wall along here. Oops, that was almost straight. Again, if I can try and get figured out on my straight line there, it'll make it easier for me to judge what's straight over here. That's not bad. That's slightly wonky, but barely. That's actually pretty clean. I like that. Sankara says there's a brush feature for adding and removing trees. I knew it added trees. I didn't even think about trying it for removing trees. Let's give that a go. Actually, it is back in terraforming, isn't it? There we go. There we go, large. Oh, God, yeah. Oh, thank you, Sam Crow. I don't know why I didn't even think of trying to remove with the paint tool. I knew I could add them in, but I didn't even think of trying the other way round. That's so much easier. So much easier. So, yeah, big thank you for that. Our ground is still flooding quite badly. So we need to just change our terrain height a little bit around here. Stop that from leaking through. Ah, that's why the wall looked a bit wrong, because it was going down. Alright, let's let that settle down. There's a lot of water to kind of just disappear. I thought we'd flooded that. It's not flooded, it's just waiting for services to be connected up. That's okay. That's already starting to take much better shape over there. That's good. So let's put that wall back in. It's not perfectly straight, but it's not too bad. So let's get some pumps in place. Our intake pumps. Fine for fine-tuning position, just rotating the camera will get things quite close. So you get it to a point there, then you just turn the camera and it changes the position of the item ever so slightly. So a slow rotation like that really does allow you to kind of push things up close to each other. And then just tilt the camera just a little bit. until you get that space back. Like that. Obviously we need to connect these together. There we go. Ronald asks, what map is this? This is a very terraformed, because there's a lot. This is the Seven Lakes map. There was a lake here. That's gone. I've terraformed that out. Obviously, we've just terraformed the edge of this lake over here. There was a lake here, which went all the way up to here. That's been terraformed. There was a lake over here, a lake over here. So this is, it's the Seven Lakes map. I've done some terraforming to give us more land to work with, but it was one of the maps that was released alongside Mass Transit. So we've got our pumping wall just there. We're going to need our sewage treatment area as well. Can I get a 90-degree? No, there's not enough shoreline along here yet. Oh, it's a little bit. It's a little bit of shoreline. We can tidy that up. Let's go with a small tool again. Get squared up. Set our terrain height. And just push across. And back again. And there we go. Now we've got a nice, clean, straight edge there. What I also like to do is I like to have a canal that kind of runs off as a channel for our wastewater. It's probably a little bit too close. Let's take that back. Let's try here. If I run the canal like that, if I take this piece of that out, there we go. This will be where we have our water treatment along here, potentially on both sides. Now the water's flooding in, which is why I've got no shoreline left anymore. There we go. As it balances out, we're getting that shoreline back. Might not be enough space over here, so let's extend this out a little bit more, so I've got a bit more options with the channel. There we go. Was it shallow canal we were using? I think it was, wasn't it? And we'll add in an extra little bit there. Yes, that's the same height. And where's my water? There it is. We'll use the new eco water treatment plants. I need to let that water settle down, because again this is going to affect the height that we place these at, so I need to just let that water settle down for a moment, and then once it's settled down I can try and pause, and hopefully, there you see it's all spilling out at the back. Hopefully once we've done this, we'll be able to plant them all at the same kind of height. Let's have a look at the chat again while we're waiting for the water to calm down a little bit. Raymond says Alpha 1 is going well. Yes, I'm actually rebooting Alpha 1 with the new 1.02 patch. I had a long think about it. I dropped 3 episodes, and the day after literally a few hours after I recorded 3 episodes, the last one of which went out yesterday, the brand new patch dropped, and I'm like, ugh. So over the week, while those episodes have been dropping, I've been umming and ahhing and waiting and making my mind up, and in the end I decided to go ahead and just start a brand new file, because I wanted to try out all those new harvester upgrades, and the only way you get the harvester upgrades is with a fresh save file. So we are rebooting, but we're rebooting with mechanics so that we can try and build the crew up as quickly as possible. We start with a lot more resources, which means we can start with a bigger ship as well. So yeah, we've lost a little bit of ground, but we'll make it back up pretty quickly, I hope. So again, just rotating the camera, you can see that it's moving the building. I get it nice and close as I can. That's about it. Stick another one over here. There we go. And then I want to try and mirror these up on the opposite side. There we go. So we'll have 6 of those plants. I think we may well need all 6 of them. We may even need more than that, but it's a good start, I think, for us to have 6. Because these eco ones do have a reduced output to the non-eco ones. There we go. And let's bring our pipe down here. Connect it like that. So our pumping area is starting to take shape. We should be putting out much, pretty much spotlessly clean water from there. But we'll throw out a garbage collector at the bottom as well, just to be on the safe side. And we'll have a couple of garbage collectors. Sort of one either side like that. Maybe even one there as well in the middle. And they'll catch any little bit of pollution that gets left over, I believe. We didn't have these last time. Last time I tried to build from scratch, we didn't have all this eco stuff. So fingers crossed that'll give us a perfectly clean source of water coming out, which won't affect what's being picked up just there. If it does, we may have to rework it ever so slightly. We'll see how we get on with that. What else did I need to put in? Oh yes, there are other water buildings that we have as well. We have our pumping service, and we also have our tank reservoir. Now we need roads in place for those, so we'll have to kind of do a little bit more terraforming, I think. Let's see. Go. This is the area I kind of want to build my pumping in over here. And of course we don't have money worries, so there's no financial worries that we have to worry about. You know, obviously setting up a city like this and then just turning it loose without restrictions. Money is not an issue. If we had money problems, or if we had money involved in this, then this would be a disaster, this city, because it would go bankrupt almost immediately. You know, the sheer amount of services we're pumping in, and then as soon as we switched on, you know, it would just go bust. But of course, it's not an issue. So we'll end up putting in a lot of stuff that will be completely unnecessary, but it will be there for aesthetic purposes. So really, we probably only need one pumping service, but it looks so cool that I like to have a couple of these side by side. In fact, let's go with 3. Because it really does make it look like a proper water treatment facility with 3 of those sets of tanks like that. And then we can have our sort of tank reservoirs over here, which are pretty much completely unnecessary for us, but we'll have them because, again, they'll create a very nice sort of aesthetic for our pumping area. So if we run our road up here, up to there, like that. And go back to our water buildings. And we'll just plonk storage tanks all the way along here. Oops. Like that. There we go. We've got a proper water treatment facility there. Loads and loads of water storage. Our eco outlets over there. Our pumping area over here. There's space for another pump on the end if we need it, which we might put in. We've got our sort of flood prevention areas, because that's what we need these for. These are in-game. They're only used if we get a flood, and they go out and they mop up the water and then bring it back into these reservoirs here. But they visually do give that nice kind of aesthetic of a water treatment facility. So yeah, we'll go with that. Let's put this pump in. It's right on the edge. I'll have to take the pipe out, I think. Yeah, it was the pipe that was causing the issue. So again, let's give a little twist to the camera. There we go. Connect that back up. Obviously, these need to be connected as well to be part of the water network. There we go. And we'll put some detail in around this area as well. So what I want to do is have a sort of an access path that runs around these facilities here. So if I start that there, needs to go up a little bit more. Push that across there like that, and then access around the back here. There we go. And then we've got access, you see, to do maintenance on these buildings. It just gives that nice visual appeal. We can take that out there, take that out there. And no one will ever use this path, but I say it's there for the visual aesthetic, just a little bit of detailing. Right, let's go have another quick look at the chat. Mr. Water says, I see that the new Train Sim World DLC main Specet Barn has moving traffic on the roads for PC. I wonder if the console versions have. I honestly can't remember. I think I remember reading about that as they were working on it last year or earlier at the beginning of this year, and I can't remember if they said it would be on console or not. I think they were trying to do it. I don't know if they actually had managed to do it at that point. Nicole asks, have I tried the DLCs for Jurassic World tonight? Sorry, I'm reading 2 questions. Hitting 10k tonight, says Amano. Hopefully. I was, I think 20 people short of 10,000 subs before starting the live stream, so it's a possibility. And Nicole's question: have I tried any of the DLCs for Jurassic World? No. Well, yes and no. I mean, I've got the deluxe edition, so I've already got those bonus 5 dinos, but I haven't tried the Cretaceous pack, and I haven't tried the Secrets of Doctor Wu pack. You know, I will at some point, but I'm taking a break from the game because I've just played it to death to get the platinum trophy on it. So I need to put that one away for a little while, otherwise I'll burn myself out on it and never want to play it again. Let's get some trees in. Go with a small tool. Try and paste in a few trees in this area. Maybe around the back here as well. Let's go with single as well, so I can try and... it's not going to let them pop in there, is it? It's too close to some of these other areas, so you can. They're not going to spawn in the way I want them to. Yeah. The pathway and the... pathway and these stopping me from doing that. I want a nice little sort of dense forest area over here. We'll mix this up with a few other trees, but I've got to be careful as well, because I'm making this potentially an area that's going to burn quite badly if a fire breaks out. But a little bit of detail around the pathway over there. We'll come back and probably do a little bit more around this side once I've figured out what I'm going to do with the rest of this coastline over here. And we've got our main access road here, which is going to come out and sort of rejoin our city over here. So let's think about, where do we want to start building some residential stuff? We can at least start getting a few people in. We'll try and plan out where I want my main sort of hub of my city to be. It would make sense, I think, for the main rail hub to perhaps go somewhere over here. Actually, no. Well, maybe we could actually have the main rail hub somewhere over here, and then we could branch trains out that way, and that way, and that way from all directions, and then eventually join up with the main line over here. I thought I saw a train going through a second ago. Maybe not. I will look at figuring out this, though. That's the other thing I've got to do, is I've got to get the railway up over these roads without being too steep. So I might have to take this road out, actually, to do that. Forgot about the railway line. Let's go to my snapping options. There we go. I want a pretty shallow kind of incline, if I can. Although I could go level crossing. Thinking about it, that's something I could do. Yeah, let's go level crossing. Why not? Let's throw one of those in there. So that's solved that problem. We'll get some warehouses potentially either side. I might not have warehouses in this bit here or this bit here. I might just put some scenery or something in there. Definitely want warehouses over here, and I want something down here, and then just a sort of a road connecting the two areas like that. We can then have other roads going over the top or something. Simulator Brian has popped in. What happened to my special project series? this is replacing it. I mean, Special Project was never going to be a regular thing. It was always going to be a case of, when I get the time, I'll do a bit of work on my city, and then I'll show you what I've done. We're going to replace it with this, where we're just building everything, a brand new kind of unlimited project from scratch, but we're live streaming every step of that process as we go through. So you'll see the whole thing being created from start to finish. And you'll see it evolve over time as we maybe come back and tweak some things and move things around, especially as future content is released. This will be the city that we come back to, implemented in. So when Park Life comes out, we'll look at adding Park Life into this. And then at some point in the future, whenever Industries comes out, we'll look at reworking our dock area over here to add in a lot of that new industrial stuff, and maybe put in some of those big farm templates somewhere else on the map as well. So this is going to become our sort of our living, breathing test city, if you will, where we get to try things out and see how they work and see how they interact with everything. Dan is in the chat. How you doing, Dan? Ronald says we need 12 blocks for this game. 9 is not enough. I do feel it would be nice to have a little bit more than 9 tiles. I mean, there we go. That's a 9-tile block. So, I mean, it's not the massive amount of space, but we've still got pretty good space, as you can see. We can still get quite a bit built in here. It depends. If you like cramming stuff in, then 9 tiles is more than enough. If you like to have lots and lots of low density areas and then just little pockets of high density, if you want to have a really big map, a really big city, then 9 tiles probably isn't enough. Also, if you're trying to recreate something realistic from the real world, 9 tiles again probably not really enough. I'd like to see more than above the need for additional tiles. I would prefer to see a random map generator, where we could create a rough kind of template with random elevations, random amounts of water. Anyone who's played Railway Empire, you know how you can generate a random map on that, and you just put in, where on the slider bar you want, how much elevation you want, your climate, your water levels, and then you just generate a random map, and you can then tweak it, or you can just generate something new and keep going through until you find something that you kind of like. I'd love to see something like that for this. Because that would make it much easier to try and create something from scratch, and then give you the option to then choose where you wanted your rail terminal or rail connection to come in from, and your road connection to come in from. So we've got a rail connection down here in this corner, and we've got a road connection coming in there, and that's it. And it'd be nice if we had the ability to do that with more maps, because for me, there's too much highway in some maps where your starting tile, you always start in the same spot, which can be frustrating because there's only so many ways you can go. So it limits how much of a map you actually get to play with, because you always have to start on the same tile, and invariably there's always at least one big highway connection, or sometimes 2 highway connections on the same tile, and it just, if you're trying to build something a bit more realistic, it means you have to then, you feel obliged to buy certain tiles just to be able to reroute the highways a little bit, and before you know it, you're playing on the same set of tiles over and over again. So a random generator, I think, would be much better than having more tiles, because you could kind of do away with some of the issues of not being able to put stuff down where you want it, or feeling obliged to pick up certain tiles because you need to gain access to certain things. I would rather see that as a development going forward. But yeah, more tiles would definitely be good. Cat Noir says, congrats on the 10k. Oh, have I hit 10k? I haven't checked. Let's have a look. It says I'm at 9982 on my phone. So not quite there yet. Let me check my dashboard on the laptop. No, it says 9981 on the laptop. So yeah, I'm still not there. Not there yet. What about Ark Survival Involved? I have no real interest in Arc at this stage. Maybe in the future, but from what I understand, the console performance isn't particularly good anyway. So, when is the next Marwell Manor? Tomorrow. Sundays is just going to be City Skylines live streaming Sunday, and that's going to be all we do on Sundays, and then it'll be 2 videos a day every day for the rest of the week. So Marwell and Railway Empire Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and obviously not forgetting our Tuesday live stream of Railway Empire, Train Sim World every Tuesday, and then also on Tuesday will be Genesis Alpha 1 and City Skylines Green Cities Challenge on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays. That's how we'll be doing our content for, going forward for the foreseeable future. Is Railway Empire a good game on a standard PS4? No idea. I've only played it on my Pro, so I don't know if it runs significantly better on the Pro compared to a standard PS4. I'd imagine it's not that much of a difference. I'd imagine it'll run pretty much the same. And that plane is making me think, where do we need to put our airport as well? I think the airport maybe over here might be a good idea. Somewhere kind of a little bit out of the way. Well, actually, no, maybe the airport's somewhere over here. And then we could have a road connection leading to our highway. Let's just take a quick look at the airport options. Do I want to go with an international airport? Or do I want to go with a runway? I think we want to go with the international, really, don't we? And we're going to need flat terrain for that, so let's level the terrain off for an airport over here. This is all looking pretty flat. Not getting major elevation changes on doing this. The landscaping costs are my indication as to how much needs to be kind of moved. It's all relatively cheap. I'm not really seeing much in the way of contour lines. Right, that should be enough space. Out of city limits, there we go. And then I'd want that to go that way. Get it right up in the corner. Try and straight edge this as well if we can. It's tricky because it's hard to see. Where's my boundary line? It's so hard to see the boundary line. There it is. Is that straight? That's pretty straight actually. It's not bad at all. So we'll push that right into the corner. There we go. So we've got our international airport over there. We'll clear out some of those trees to tidy everything up. But we know where that is. The runways are right out against the edge of the map, so it's not going to have massive impact on building the rest of the city. So it's going to be a bit sort of random as we're just building bits in odd places to get started. But there's certain key features that I like to have in, and I want to make sure that I get them in the right places so we can then start to work on everything else. I'm just trying to figure out where I want my station at the moment, my main sort of multi-track station, this end station here. I'm trying to figure out if I want the rail sort of hub over here, and I'm thinking it might be better over here. This would make this the heart of the city, and then we could have a little bit of low density sort of around the back here. And again, we've also got, you know, the airport. I want that to kind of be away from the main part of the city. You never find, or very rarely do you find, a city with an airport slap bang in the middle of it. They're always out to the edges and the outskirts, so they don't have you know, massive impact in terms of noise and pollution over the actual city itself. That's the theory anyway. So I'm thinking maybe if we make this kind of area here, let's just put a little bit of road down as a marker. If we make this here our kind of designated area, put an X marks the spot. Got to be a proper X there. That's my OCD's going to kick in. So it's all going to be equally sized. There we go. That'll be the kind of area that we look to have our sort of our city hub somewhere around here. So we'll probably start somewhere around this area and expand out to about this point. Have the station somewhere over here. Then we can feed railway lines off this way towards the station. We can have a railway line that feeds off towards our tourist area over here. Obviously, we'll have our main line connection that will run through here. We can also feed traffic off towards the docks. Have you know, a rail connection somewhere over here by our harbour for ferry traffic, and then stations somewhere over here as well for a little local community over here, a small little low density. We've got options that way. We can kind of send the trains sprawling off in all directions. So I think that's what we'll probably go with. Dan is eating hot and sour soup. Apparently it's delicious. How you doing, F.O. Hemming? Good to see you. Raymond is shooting off. Thanks for stopping by, Raymond. We'll see you soon. S4RT says, wait, there are new brushes on PS4. There are some, yes. In terms of tree planting, there's new brushes for tree planting. So you can see that we have these here. We can go with just individual planting as before, or we can go with a large brush, a medium brush, or a small brush. I tend to find that it's using the brushes to plant will give you a much more sporadic kind of feel, but you can obviously change your tree type and get a slightly more organic kind of feel. If you want to have really dense placement like this, it takes a long time to create that using a big brush template. So you can still pop trees down individually, but they're very, very good at deleting patches of trees very, very quickly, as we found out earlier today. But apart from that, all the other brushes are still the same as they were. So we still have the same brushes for painting districts, and also for zoning when it comes to adding in our zones. We've still got all those brushes. They haven't changed. So when I build a city, do I prefer renewable or non-renewable resources? To be honest, I've never really messed around with ore or with oil, because I know that they run out, and so by the time you've kind of got your city up to where you like it and you want it, those resources have already expired, and whatever you built to look pretty as a specific industry has gone, and it's reverted back to normal industrial specialisation, because there's just no minerals left, or there's no oil left. So I never really tend to bother with those particular ones. If I need oil, it just gets imported. If I need minerals, they just get imported. And I just build normal industry, and I build offices to deal with my industrial supply, and then I'll also build some farmland here and there, and I'll build some forestry, but that's pretty much it. So I suppose, yes, I've favoured renewable just because they don't disappear after a period of time. But, you know, with this city, we can build an oil and a mineral area if we want to, because we do have unlimited resources. The question is, do we actually have any of those on this map? No. We have a little bit of ore, and it's outside our buildable area, and we have no oil. We have no farmland either, actually. I've just realised I've got no farmland on this map. That, again, is all outside my buildable area. This is a little bit of farmland just there, and this is my border, and the farmland's to the left. And then over here, I've got little tiny spots of farmland over there, and a little bit of ore over there. Oh, I've got a little bit of oil. There is some oil. But there's no fertile land here, so that's going to make farming a bit tricky. And there's plenty of forestry, so it's going to be a very forestry-heavy industry area, I think. Peter Fawcett's popped in the chat. How you doing, Peter? Good to see you. Super Dude says, finally caught one of my live streams. Yeah, how you doing, Super Dude? Am I going to be taking Alpha, taking the same names with me on Alpha? Yes, we're going to be transferring the crew from the current ship over to the new ship. We'll kind of just grab them randomly from the existing crew, and then once those are filled up, and we're doing that as quick as we can, we'll then start adding fresh people into the crew list again. So, I really do need to start thinking about bringing my road in and start branching off for traffic, don't we? Alright, let's get on with some roadworks. Let's go freeform. I'm going to drag this in straight for a bit. And I'm going to be building these little kind of checkpoints to connect the roads together, these little connections here, so that as I do put road curves in, I can try and keep the roads at the same spacing all the way through. I'm trying to think whether to have a junction that comes off or just a roundabout to go off to the airport. First things first, I do want to put a bit of a curve. Bring the road in this way a bit. And again, we'll straight line that down. And there we go, we've got our 2-block spacing running all the way through, keeping the roads perfectly spaced, because we're snapping to these little kind of guide points here. So we're keeping our road spacing the same all the way around. It just makes things so much easier than having to kind of eyeball it and having roads that get too close or too far away, especially when you want to start switching over to create an on-ramp or an off-ramp. You need to have roads spaced in a certain position, and it just gets quite messy. Do I ever think that mods will make it onto the PS4 for this? I hope so. It's probably more down to Sony than Paradox at this point. You know, Microsoft are finally sort of agreeing to go to an open mod policy. Sony are still very, very much anti-open policy. So unless that changes in the near future, I don't think it'll happen for us. You know, curated mods, you know, modeled by the client. You know, in this case, it would be Paradox. For Farming Simulator, obviously, that's Giants. That's the only way that mods can get on there at the moment. And I can't see that changing on Sony anytime soon, unfortunately. Let's put a big roundabout in here, I think. So let's try and find a centre point. There we go. Right, so I now need to find the halfway point on here. Easiest way for me to do that is to do this. There is no halfway point. Okay, we'll make that a little bit bigger. That's an extra 3 blocks, go up like that, and now I should be able to get a proper halfway point. Yeah, there we go. So I want this to be a big roundabout. This is going to be our main sort of way in. That's a little bit too big. So I've got 4 blocks on that side, 4 blocks on this side. There we go. And then same again on this. It's gone to 5 again, hasn't it? Yeah, I misjudged that. There we go. So there's our kind of spoke for our roundabout. Let's go curved. Go. I'm also going to try and put in some diagonals on this one, just to give us that little bit of extra stability on these curved pieces, and also some more options with where our traffic comes in and goes out. Let's go to freeform. Let's bring that down just a little bit. Just bending round ever so slightly, trying to get that slightly more natural curve on it. That should work, I hope. Same again over here. Come on, keep going, keep going, keep going. A little bit more. No, camera's not quite right. There we go. So we've got our in and out roads there. Let's upgrade those to freeway now before I forget. 3-lane upgrades. It's not going to let me do it because of that. Let's take that out. There we go. Obviously change the direction on these, that's not a problem. There we go. Change direction. There we go. It's coming along as a basic kind of rough entrance. It's going to be a very busy roundabout, so it's probably going to want to be a 3-lane roundabout, maybe even a 4-lane. Certainly wants 3 lanes around the main bulk of it. Let's go 2-lane there, I think. Oops. There we go. And let's switch that back to straight road. There we go. So we've got our basic roundabout entrance. Now we need to have a road that's going to run down towards our harbour over here. I want there to be sort of a main, slightly elevated road we'll see we've got our difference in elevation over here, so we can use that to our advantage over here. If we level this terrain out a bit, let's push this along here. It does kind of destroy the idea of a level crossing over here, but that's fine. We can go back to the original concept of slowly raising that up to this height. That can actually, maybe it could come up underneath our freeway over here. That might work better, actually. Yeah, we'll come back to that idea. Let's keep pushing this down. And let's get some roads marked out. So my elevated part is up here. And I want the road to start on there. That, I think. And we want a 2-block spacing, because that's what our other part of the road's got. And now I need to find a way to link that in this way as part of our sort of ring road. This is going to be a touristy area, so we're going to have a junction coming off over here to service that area over there. I'm going to need another roundabout in somewhere over here, I think, to bring traffic in this way. This wants to be kind of purely for our freight traffic, I think. Create just a basic kind of loop around to start with. We can always tweak it going forward. Again, we'll put in our little straight block there, so we've got something to connect to. Keep that spacing. There we go. Still got our nice 2-block spacing all the way through there. Let's use this as our off point here. So, actually, no, we'll do this. This will be our off point here. So, just here, what I need to do. And what's the distance that I went with from there to there? How many blocks is that? That's half. So it's about, what, 6 or 7, I think. Let's go out a bit further. Okay, right. So that's 6 units. So from here, so I can find my my actual spacing point. I could have done it from there, actually. I don't know why I didn't even think of that. Let's try that. So we want to come down, what, 6 units, don't we? So to there. There we go. And then I want to have a 2-block space down the middle. There we go. That's our access entrance point. And same again on this side. Just tweak the camera until it allows us to build it. Like that. There we go. That can come out. Now I need to connect this to this. Let's go back to freeform again. It's going in on the wrong side. Need to build these out a little bit further. Oops. Set that just there. Now I should be able to pick up that plot point. Yes, there we go. I get a straight approach. Oh no, that's wonky. Let's try doing it the other way around. That might be a little easier. No, it's still kinked. I think that's it. No, that's kinked as well. Let's take that to there. Put a partial kink in. Keep my spacing. Now it should be easier to connect this up. Take this along to about there. Yeah, that's much smoother. There we go. So I have a little bit of a kink just there, but it's much easier to deal with. And we can take points along this route and we can siphon traffic off. So it's not a major issue, I suppose. We're going to create an on-off ramp somewhere over here to drop down into our industry area. And then we'll try and get our railway to go sort of underneath the freeway and then come up underneath it over here. A little bit of a kind of a subway kind of thing. So let's upgrade the roads. Take that out, don't I? I need to take that out as well. There we go. So those of you that have played City Skylines and have seen, on a console and have seen some of the mods on PC, what are the mods that you want the most? Is there anything specific that you are desperate that we would hopefully get the chance to get? For me, I think traffic management. To be able to, when it comes to junctions, to be able to choose which traffic goes into which lane at junctions. That for me is the big one. It might possibly make its way over to Xbox, but I seriously doubt we'll ever see it on PS4. But that would be the one. If I could bring just one mod over, that would be the one that I'd choose. Oops. Switch those back. There we go. How did that happen? There we go. And this is going the wrong way, isn't it, as well? Yeah, there we go. So we have our main sort of access to the city and our industrial area. We'll keep those spokes in place because we're going to still bring traffic off in other directions as well. We need to look at building an on-ramp, off-ramp situation over here. What I also want to do is go into my terraforming tool for a second. Let's go to level terrain. Go to a small tool. I just want to try this, see if the idea I've got formulating in my head is going to work. Bring this down a bit over here. This might not work. Certainly not looking very pretty at the moment, but I'm just trying to create that kind of area as a build-up for our train to run through. And I built it in the wrong spot. I was looking at the I was looking at the road, and I built it too far to the side. Alright, it's okay, we can just push that along a bit more. I'm not sure if it's going to let me build underneath first. I might have to kind of put the railway underneath and then build a bridge over the top with the roads. We'll see. I'd like to do it as a tunnel if I can, rather than a bridge. A tunnel would be a better look, I think. I think I need to bring that terrain back out a bit. It should work, but I've gone too far in. So let's push that back again. I'm hoping I have enough height as well. I might have to potentially raise the height of the road a little bit. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we're okay on that. Right, let's try that. Okay, I'm trying to keep the elevation flat if I can. That looks like it's dipping down. That looks like it's relatively straight. That goes up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So the height stays about right, and then we can run underneath to there. But we get that visual look of the actual height of the rails staying the same, which is what I was trying to achieve. So we get essentially a flat line that runs underneath, and then we can bring that out somewhere over here. So that's worked. Let's have a look. Are roundabouts common on the UK freeways? Well, this isn't really a motorway as such. I mean, this is kind of coming to the end point of a motorway. At the end of a motorway, it either kind of just stops, or it stops at a roundabout and then branches off into various different reasons. So, or various different distant directions for various different areas to support. But the motorway itself comes to just a stop, which is essentially what's happening here. So this is our main feed in. This is what we, our motorway or freeway, if you're in America, or highway, depending on what you want to call it. We're going to get to our sort of end point roundabout over here, and then this is going to be a ring road. So it's 3-lane at the moment, but I may well change this to 2-lane and just have this as a 2-lane dual carriageway, but using the freeway road piece so that it moves a lot faster. Keeps the traffic moving nice and fast. But this isn't actually going to be our sort of main freeway. It's not like America where we build freeways through the middle of cities. We have ring roads that go around certain areas and bypass roads and stuff. But you know, they're sort of main A roads rather than ways. GTA guy has popped in the chat. How you doing? White Panther. Oh, Taurus. How are you doing? I didn't see you popping in there. Ashbap as well. Yeah, Alpha Rod. Yeah, more of a dual carriageway. This is what I'm looking to build over here. This is going to be our bypass road. Our to sort of funnel traffic around the edge of our built-up area, without running straight through the heart of it. So, as I say, I may well downgrade this to 2-lane. I'm just putting in 3-way at the moment, just because I find it a little bit easier to plot things out with that, and then I can reduce space down. It's easier to shrink a road in width than it is to sort of plan it quite tight and narrow, and then you need to go, oh, I need to make that road wider, and then it throws your spacing off horribly trying to upgrade when you've planned around a 2-lane road. So I always planned around 3-lane first, and then I can downgrade to 2-lane, and it makes things fit better. Because if you have sort of 2-lane junctions over here, and then you try and upgrade to 3-lane, and it's too tightly packed, you can't upgrade the road. It won't let you do it. You know, it collides. It forms a problem. So building with 3 lanes first, and then downgrading to what you actually want just works a bit easier. I mean, you could go to the extreme of building in 4-lane, and then downgrading to 3 for the same principle, but it's just the way I'm going to kind of do that. So we have our bypass route over here. We need to get traffic in here. We're going to do it in a couple of different places, because we've got 2 kind of separate dock areas. So we've got one over here, and then one over here. And then obviously we've got a little link road here, which the railway is going to cut straight through. So we can't have that as our major feed in here, because it would just be non-stop traffic getting held up by any trains going through there. It would just cause major tailbacks. So we'll have this road run along here, and then an access road come into this part of the docks. And we're probably going to expand into this area a little bit as well. Might even have a little bit of tourist commercial over here for hotels and stuff. We'll see how that goes, but we're going to have a chunk of industry just over here, which will be sort of fed in somewhere over here, and then we'll have a chunk of industry over here, and then the feed in for that will be probably somewhere around here, just coming off this corner. Alpha says, missed the start, am I using any cheats? Yeah, everything's unlocked, so we've got, if I go to the pause, you can see trophies are disabled. If I just go to save for a second. And then load this file, you can see there the milestones are all unlocked. We've got unlimited money, unlimited oil, and unlimited soil for terraforming purposes. So everything's unlocked for the purposes of this. We're building to see what we can build rather than to see what we can unlock. You know, we're doing that on our other playthroughs, and this one is going to be replacing that kind of private project or special project I started working on around Christmas time. This is going to be the replacement for that, sort of a weekly live stream where we build this thing from scratch. So progress is going to be slow at first while I try and figure out what I want and where I want it, but as I start getting into a rhythm, we'll start to speed things up a little bit, because we haven't really built that much, have we? We've built a road, we've built a dock area, we've built placed our airport, and we've built our water treatment facility, and that's pretty much all we've done in 2 hours. Wow. I've been chatting away and getting distracted a bit as well, so let's see, where can I build my access point? I need my roads to be straight. Let's go to straight roads. Actually, let's downgrade these over here, so I can put my spaces in. There we go. And again, what I want to do with my off-ramp is to have that sort of come down and then go underneath and loop in to the estate. So like we've done with this, there'll be a loop-in part, which might just go underground, or I might actually build a bridge. Bridge might be better, actually. Might be easier. Yeah, let's do that. Let's take these pieces out. And let's actually just lower the terrain in this bit. So we want this height. Push that through here. Flatten that area out. I'm going to clear the trees out as well so I can see what I'm doing. Still going to keep the train as a tunnel though. I like the idea of the train going through a tunnel rather than having a lowered section like this. So let's go into our tree management. Let's go with a medium brush. Take those trees out. Oh, that works a treat. There we go. Oh, we've got a float. Oh, it's a bear. I thought it was a pig earlier because the way the sun was shining on it, it looked quite pinkish, but it's actually a bear. I was going to say, look, pigs are flying, but it's actually a bear. It's the silly little things, isn't it? They make all the difference. Right, let's put our roads back in so we've got our bridge. It's going to be a bit trickier. Got to get the height right. Yeah, that looks okay. There's a slight dip, but only a slight dip. That's okay. So same again. Let's put that bridge in stages. I can't tell if it's the right height or not. Let's spin the camera around. That might be easier to tell. Yeah, there we go. Excellent stuff. So we'll have our sort of entranceway this way. And also, we can then also feed a route into our sort of central area underneath our bypass that way as well. So that actually works out okay. We'll have a bypass road that runs through there. We can run a main road that runs through here to feed our commercial zones and everything over through here. Yeah, I like that. Just going to clear some more of these trees out of the way, I think. We can always put these back in again where we need to. There we go. And now let's just smooth out the terrain over here a bit better as well. And we won't leave these sort of hillsides quite so severe as well. We'll actually go ahead and smooth those once we've got the roads in place. But for now, we're just going to work like this with kind of rough edges. Make sure I've got space on this side. We'll fill the terrain back up again as and where we need to. So, about the halfway point of this is there. I'm doing this just so I've got a baseline on here to work with. There we go. Let's take that out now. So I've split that into half. Put it back in as a single solid piece. There we go. And now I've got space for my roads to run underneath like that. This is probably just going to be a... rather than a dual carriage... do I go with a dual carriageway here? Yeah, I might well do. If we keep our bypass road around the edge as a 3-lane, and then this can be a 2-lane dual carriageway running in underneath. That might work better. Because this is going to be a busy area, so we're going to want to have good traffic movement through here. Let's take those out. I need to think now about my roads coming off the side. Might need to actually straighten this out a bit more before I put a curve in. Might have to rework that bit there. Let's start on this side. If I were to bring a road down, it's going to be a very steep decline, isn't it? Yeah, a bit too steep. Ah, yes, that is definitely going to be a problem. All right. Take these bits out. We'll rework this section of the road. Once we've built the junction, that might be the easiest way for us to go forward. Handily, we've got a nice little spot there to connect to. I want to come out block either side, and then we've got a block either side there as well. Yes, there we go. So from here, I want to have my connection coming down. So let's push this back. Might be too much, but as I say, we can play about with this as and how we need to. Let's get rid of more trees. I'm just kind of freewheeling this. I don't know if this is actually going to work or not. I want that to go down like that. How steep is that? That's not too bad. And then from there, that's going to go down straight. Is it going down at a wonky angle though? It might well be. Let me just close these loops off. Go out an extra block. So let's try it a slightly different way. Let's go from here. And let's go up. Okay, this is where it gets tricky, trying to get the height right. When it starts to bend the road. So that's 1, 2, 3 up. There we go. And then curve that around. That's now a little bit too big, isn't it? We're too far away, so I need to rework this. We need to go from here. Just do the same on this side so the spacing doesn't get messed up. There we go. So we go 1, 2, 3. It's still not quite right, look. Alright, let's make this longer. Let's take it to there. It's more in line. How does that look? Not too bad. There's a slight kind of plateau. That's not too bad. Let's try it with going up 4. See how that looks. That looks a little bit more controlled. Yeah, I can live with that. So we'll do the same over here. So get our spacing right. It's just there. Oh no, spacing is a bit different. It's a longer gap. How long is that gap? It's 1 over. Okay. I can work with that still. So that's where it needs to be. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then curve in. Damn it. I was worried that was going to happen. Push that to there. Let's take that out before I put that in, actually. It's the snap points. I want to change the snap points. There we go. So if I now build from here and get that same angle of turn in. Yeah, that works. Okay, so let's do that on the other side. Now the terrain sticks out too much here. This is the downside to doing your landscaping like this, is that it can sometimes be very messy trying to get everything to pair up properly. You need to have flat ground or else it changes the height spacing as well. So you get very wonky, lopsided ramps on the side. Let's try this. So we want to go to there. Up by 4. Curve in. There we go. That looks good on that side. It's not quite so smooth on this side, but it's workable. Curve in and... there we go. So we've got our first main junction there, where we can rejoin these roads. Obviously, those crossovers are not going to be there. Now we need to reconnect to our freeway over here. So this is going to be a bit of a sharper turn. Take that and take that. I need to sort my terrain out. There we go. Freeform. There we go. So our road is relinked. Let's get that upgraded. This is where it's going to get interesting. Trying to upgrade over here. I'll do my direction changes, get this part done first properly. So, change the direction. There we go. Probably, ideally, we should probably have actually made those a little bit more curved towards the traffic. Never mind, they'll do like that. I'm not going to overcomplicate this. I want to keep it compact because we're going to need another one, and I don't want it to take up too much space. But theoretically, I could curve these around and run alongside here so they blend in a bit smoother. There's our in and out towards the dock, and then we can have a roundabout over here which will then direct traffic to various different parts. So again, we'll have another one over here which hopefully the traffic will go to. It's possible that we may have to take these out and actually replace them with something a little bit slower to stop traffic from coming off too early. Let's have a quick pop in the chat. Lord Patrick has popped in. How you doing, Lord Patrick? Cat Noir has gone off to watch a movie. I wonder what he's gone to see. John Inglesongs is here as well. Why PS4? Because I don't have a PC. That's why I'm playing on a PS4. Katie's popped in. How you doing, Katie? I know it doesn't need to be symmetrical, but I kind of get a little OCD about things like this. It bugs me. When I'm trying to create something like this, I like there to be a symmetry, and it just, I need to kind of overcome that at some point and try and just freestyle it a little bit better. But it is what it is. I'm a slave to my compulsions at times. There we go. Right. Let's get this connected back up. There we go. And now let's try. Let's try and get this upgraded. Hopefully this will actually put a proper bridge in. Yeah, that'll do. Let's upgrade that. And that. And we want slip roads feeding down and feeding up. So we're going to have to do direction changes on these as well. There we go. And that actually looks not bad. It's actually blended it quite nicely on that side and that side. I didn't build the terrain back on this side, so maybe we can get away with doing that. And convert it back. Let's see if it'll let me do that. If I put the terrain in place underneath. Let's go straight. No, sorry, normal road. I want to upgrade. There we go. Put the road back in. Let's sort the terrain out. That might be a bit too extreme. Let's go with softened terrain. Let's see if that works. moment of truth time. Upgrades, slip roads. Nope, not on that side. It's going to stay as a raised road. Okay, never mind. I'm not quite sure how I managed to get that to convert itself over, but I'll take it on one side. If I can't get it on both, I'll just have to live with it. Let's get these directions sorted. That's the wrong way. That's okay, that needs to change. Alright, there we go. So we have our connection for our docks, which we then kind of need to sort out just over here. Let's see, we've been going for 2.5 hours. I think, because I'm getting really hungry, I think I'm going to call it a day here for now. That's what we've achieved so far. Not a massive amount, but we've kind of laid the foundations. When we pick this up again next week, we'll be able to kind of really push on and start sorting out our warehouse area over here, get our connection to our sort of ring road, move our freeway along, and maybe build another off-ramp to service a larger industrial area over here. And then we can also start looking at bringing in some residential and start maybe building up our sort of city centre area, perhaps over here as well. We've got a few different things that we can start looking at. The main kind of focal points that we wanted, so our docks, our rough spacing positioning for our main station, our water treatment, our airports, they're all kind of in place. And we've got our main road that kind of feeds in and around as well, which will then, as I say, come to a complete end somewhere around here. So we're actually in a pretty good shape, despite it on paper not looking like we've done that much. I feel quite happy with what we've achieved today, and then next Sunday we'll be able to really crack on and do a fair bit more, I hope. So I'm going to end it here. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob. I'll be back with more City Skylines live next Sunday at the same time, 6 PM UK time. I will be releasing the next episode of Marwell Manor and the first episode of the new Railway Empire Germany DLC tomorrow. And then Tuesday we'll go back to our normal Green Cities, City Skylines playthrough, as well as some more Genesis Alpha 1. And of course, don't forget, I will be live streaming some Train Sim World in the evening as well, around 8 PM, 9 PM, I think it's 8 PM UK time. We'll be starting TSW Tuesdays. So I look forward to seeing you all again in the very near future, and take care.